We've talked before on this channel about the fact that Sweden is a very big country. Your experiences in the south are completely different to experiences in the north. But now that I've lived here in Sweden for quite a long time, I get lots of questions from you guys about things I've experienced, whether I've been to certain places or not, what I thought of certain areas of the country. But because when I'm not filming videos like this one for you guys, I'm doing my full-time job, there's of course a limit to how much of the country that I've had an opportunity to explore so far. So still, my most common answer is, no, I've not experienced that yet, but I'd really like to. And that got me thinking, wouldn't it be fun to do a video about all of the things in Sweden that I haven't experienced yet that I would really like to? So today we're going to be talking about 5 of the things I think you need to experience if you live here in Sweden that I'm yet to experience for myself. I'm sure that some of you guys will have had the opportunity to enjoy some of these things for yourself, so I'd like you guys to keep track as we go and let me know in the comments afterwards how many of these things have you experienced, what haven't you done that was on my list. I'd love to hear. So let's get into my top 5 bucket list items whilst I'm here in Sweden. And what better place to kick off this video than the midnight sun? Yes, it's pretty well known around the world that Sweden can be a pretty dark place in the winter. The days are a lot shorter than they are in other parts of the world, and the reason for that is because of how far north the country is. But did you know that the reverse is true in the summertime? So as a result, that means that in certain places of the country, the sun barely ever sets in the summer. Where I live here in Sweden, in Östergötland, we're lucky enough to see the sun till about 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night during the summertime. But if you head a few more hours further north to Sundsvall or Högakusten or Umeå or even further up, your days are likely to be a lot longer. You hear stories about teenagers here in Sweden that go out with their friends to a nightclub in the summertime in the north of Sweden, and when they come out, it's brighter than when they went in. And I've got to admit, that sounds pretty disorientating to me. But that said, I would love to experience the midnight sun. Maybe not in a club environment, but I've heard that around midsummer it's quite common for people in certain parts of the north of Sweden to go skiing at midnight because it's so bright that it looks like it's the middle of the day, and that's how they celebrate. So far, I've only had the opportunity to try skiing once in my life, but once I'm a little bit better, I really want to head up north and experience that midnight skiing. That must be such an opportunity. Sticking with the theme of light, I'm pretty sure that this next one is one that lots of people from all over the world are with me on. Yes, because in certain parts of Sweden, if you're lucky and the weather conditions are right, you can see the Northern Lights. And like the rest of the 97% of the world that is yet to see the Northern Lights, it's right up there on my bucket list, and I would love to experience it while I'm here in Sweden. And again, it's where I live here in Sweden that has prohibited me from the chance of seeing the Northern Lights so far, because where I am down south, it's a lot less common. It's not impossible, it does happen sometimes, but there's a lot more light pollution and the solar cycle has to be in the complete right position. But I've heard that it's way more impressive to see the Northern Lights up north than it would be to see them down here anyway, because the light pollution down here means that you wouldn't really see the colours that well. So if you want to see them in all of their glory, you're best to do that up in Kiruna or somewhere else up north. And like lots of other foreigners, I'm sure I wasn't alone in thinking you had to go up to Greenland or the Arctic or Iceland to experience the Northern Lights, but it's not true. You can do it in northern Norway and northern Sweden as well. You just have to be lucky. And so far, it's not happened for me. I've not been up north in the winter time, but I would love to do it sometime just to experience that. And the other thing that I would really like to experience on that same trip, which makes the third thing on my list today of things that you have to experience here in Sweden, is staying in the ice hotel. Now, I'm sure that this is another one of those things that is familiar to most of you guys watching this video, even if you've never stepped foot in Sweden before. The ice hotel is world famous for being one of the only places in the world outside of living in an igloo where you can go and experience living in ice and sleeping on an ice bed. And the great news is that you don't have to go all the way up to Swedish Lapland to experience a little piece of the magic, because the franchise actually extended to a number of different ice bars all around the world. And there's one in London, for example. So I got to go and experience that before I even moved to Sweden and see all of the ice sculptures and experience all of the artwork. It was fascinating. But you have to admit, that's only a little piece of the magic, and I would love to experience going to visit and even staying at the ice hotel. And you guys, I admit this one is very gimmicky and super touristy, but I actually don't mind. I still want to experience it for myself, because short of finding a friend that happens to have an igloo as a winter house, I don't know where else in the world you can experience this. The fourth thing on my list of things that I really want to experience while I'm here in Sweden is also something which is a lot more common to see up in the north. Are you beginning to see a bit of a trend now? Clearly I've spent way too much time down south. But something that just has to be on my list today is seeing a moose in the flesh. And for those of you that follow me over on my Instagram account, you're probably quite surprised to see this one on my list today, because you'll know that recently I was up in the high coast filming my swimming video, and whilst I was there, I finally, for the first time since moving to Sweden, got to see a real life moose on the side of the road. Yes, this one had become a bit of a running joke between me and my friends and family because my girlfriend's family live down in Småland where there's basically as many moose as there are people. And I've been there plenty of times and they're always telling me, oh well, we saw a moose yesterday, or there was a moose on my morning walk this morning. But when I've been there, I'd never seen one. I'm convinced that they could smell me coming a mile away, knew that I was foreign and scarpered off into the forest. And you can't even put this one down to a lack of trying because on plenty of occasions, we went out looking for moose. I even sat up in one of those moose towers for over 2 hours in the cold looking for a moose one evening, but it never happened. So you can imagine my delight and amazement when I finally got to see one on the side of the road in Norrland. And I know what you're thinking, so why is it in this list today if you've experienced it for yourself? And the reason is, although I've now been lucky enough to see one with my own eyes, we were in the car driving past, I got a glimpse and then it was gone. It was almost like a dream. So for that reason, I want to see one properly. Just to be clear, that doesn't mean that I want one to jump in front of our car one evening when we're driving home. I'm definitely not speaking that into existence because I'm pretty sure we would come off worse than the moose would, but I would like to see one for more than a second or two, just off in the distance somewhere in the Småland forest or anywhere else in the country for that reason. And I know that there's plenty of moose parks around here in Sweden where you can go and see them up close and personal, but that's a bit like going to a zoo for me, and that doesn't count. That's not like seeing it properly. I want to see them out in the wild, roaming around as they do, and experience that for myself in its magic and wonder. And talking of animals, the fifth and final thing on my list today of things I really want to experience while I'm living here in Sweden is probably the one that is most likely to happen. Yes, I'm gonna level with you guys. I've still never been to a crayfish party. It's actually quite common at this time of year in the middle of August all around Sweden that you go to a crayfish party and you eat exactly what you think you're going to be eating. And I don't think I've ever tried a crayfish before, so I'm not even sure if I would like it, but that's not really what I'm going for. No, because what I would be there to experience is the spectacle of the occasion instead. The Swedes put on their hats, they sing silly songs, they sit outside with colourful paper lanterns, and they eat crayfish. There's colourful plates, probably made of paper, there's people wearing bibs around their necks and comical paper hats on their heads, there's a feast. It just sounds like a lot of fun. So if you guys are having a crayfish party of your own anytime soon and you got room for one more, you know where I am. Holla if you wanna. And with that, we've reached the end of this video about the 5 experiences that I'm yet to have here in Sweden but would really like to. I would love to hear what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Have you had any of these experiences for yourself? Is there something that I didn't mention on the list that you think deserves to be there? Let me know down in the comments below. And then once you're done, if you haven't subscribed yet, would be awesome if you could. Like the video so that I know that you enjoy it. New content twice a week on this channel. Really appreciate your support, engagement and interest. And with that said, I wish you a nice day and I look forward to seeing you again soon in another video. Until then, thanks for watching and goodbye guys.